Welcome to Rauta. This video is done in commercial collaboration with our sponsor, Steelfest. Welcome to Rauta. This time we have something different in terms of genres and all that stuff. Also unboxing both CD and the vinyl. So let's get it started. This one is Suotana from Finland, and this is their brand new album from 2023. Now the band was kind enough to ask the label to send a copy here in order for me to review and unbox it. So here it is, and the label was kind enough to kind of over deliver. Honestly, I was expecting just a CD, which is more than enough for this, but as it is, I am happy to have both versions for to unbox for you and show you what this is all about. Now, before we get into the music, I'll tell you a little bit of background and I'll try to describe the genres given. But first, let's tackle the name. The name is a little bit weird. Suotana is technically speaking a combination of two words, suo meaning swamp and satana is obviously Satan. So when you combined swamp and satana in Finnish being Satan, then you have suotana. It's a kind of a bad word play if you ask me for a band name, but I mean whatever sticks, it works I guess. So it's also a kind of certain language area, certain kind of almost like an accent to say satana, like suotana, prikkele, kind of a cursing, swearing if you want to call it that. Now, in a way, it's also a very fitting name for the band because the thing here is, this is about traditions. This is the kind of a, you would call certain kind of a pagan metal, if you will. And now for the LP format, which of course does great justice to this cover art. Obviously this video won't do justice to it because obviously you're looking at it from a small screen, but I mean if you really want to appreciate the art and take a look at it, I mean this is wow. Great colors, great details here. This is something that I could imagine staring while listening to the music and going through the lyrics and all that stuff. So this is beautiful. I'm running out of space here technically speaking. I hope you can still hear me and figure it out. So obviously this is just a preview how nicely it's going to look when you have the physical product. And this is not some cheap ass vinyl version, but actually quite sturdy. This is a nice turquoise color, so not your typical vinyl going all black. I know some people prepare purely just black format. That's totally fine, of course. But those who want some special flavor, so to speak, well, they're gonna like it. And once again, here is the cover, the back cover, and because this is a gatefold, it's gonna look gorgeous. Here's the band photo with some northern lights on the background. I'm almost like doing a reaction video because I really like this kind of format. And here you have a map, which is then again, as far as I could tell, related to the story with the music, but we're not going to go through the lyrics because obviously that would take too much time. That is something for you who actually buy the physical product, the album in physical format, for you to explore. So third album, Ounas I. I don't remember hearing the second album, so I really can't compare to that. But the first one in 2015, that was very, very mediocre one. Kind of like a demo in full album format. That is lacking the punch. The songwriting was too much all over the place. Simply put, it wasn't a good album. So now, some 8 years later, 2 albums later, the band has improved vastly. Thing here is, I'm not gonna lie, this is basically not my cup of tea. For a couple of reasons. First of all, there is way too much power metal into it. And this is something that's going to be a deal breaker for a lot of people out there. This has definitely quite a bit of power metal moments. I'm talking about bands like Sonata, Arctica, and the like. Kind of a Finnish power metal into it. Not exactly Stratovarius or whatever, but Then again, I'm not exactly a power metal expert or listening to that genre, so can't really go too much deep into that. But I will say this much. Son of Antarctica popped into my mind a couple of times when I was listening to certain songs of this album. I mean, I gave it quite a few spins, and overall it's not very dominant here. But it's happening, and that might be a deal breaker indeed for a lot of people. But mostly this is about kind of a, how to put it, pagan melodic metal. There are lots of parts where you can just hear that kind of a black metal presence, but more with the more melodies and the kind of folkier parts. You're definitely going into more melodic death metal. I mean mellow death. Melodic metal should describe it. It has as much to do with the kind of In Flames or other Gothenburg style as much as it has to do with melodic black metal ones. And when you toss those power metal elements into the play, it becomes kind of a hybrid, which is a blessing in disguise. For a lot of people, it will sound unique, something that really distinguishes the band. I mean, it's not your typical melodic band to begin with because of the power metal things, because of the black metal elements, because of the, Swedish mellow death things. But overall, to call this melodic death metal album isn't gonna cut it. I mean, certainly you will hear certain kind of Children of Bodom parts here and there. So it kind of has those elements, which is almost flirting with kind of a heavy metal or power metal gone death. But to call it death metal might be a little bit misleading because you're then again thinking about bands which are actual death metal. And, well, Suotana is not that. But having these different elements actually makes an interesting breed. It's almost like certain kind of food. Think about certain kind of salads or poke, where you have different elements. You have these elements from this and that, and actually those flavors combined make a lot of sense. It's more about like not so much about individual tastes or like this doesn't really taste that well or this doesn't that's good. But when you combine it, it makes fantastic. It's almost like the kind of a basic things, chocolate and vanilla ice cream or strawberries or whatever. So they might taste pretty good, like just that. But when you combine it, when the magic happens, it's like a cake with a lot of layers. And when you just bite it and you're like, okay, now I understand, it makes sense. So for example, these power metal elements, while they might sound like they're a little bit off or misplaced, with this kind of a context that actually makes a lot of sense and they don't bother me, even though I am sometimes quite allergic to so-called pure power metal genre. I mean, there are plenty of good ones too, but mainly it's not something that I listen to. With this context, it doesn't bother me. Partly because it just makes sense in the terms of song compositions and riffs used, but also with the vocals and production. The production being overall kind of a solid. It's not superb, but it's not also overly produced. It makes a lot of sense. It's clean and clear enough. But then again, it's also something that doesn't really sound like too plastic, if you know what I mean, like being overly produced in the sense like it's coming from a factory. When it comes to the vocals, they are quite good in the sense of this one. And then there's also spoken parts on the last track, which is a cover. And yeah, that actually makes sense. I mean, there's a good voice, but then again, I was told that the vocalist is also doing some kind of a voice acting and all that stuff for commercials and whatnot, so it's kind of understandable. Overall, I would say this is a very, very nicely balanced album, just not for me in the sense of the given genres. So I'm kind of divided. On the other hand, I want to give a little bit lax for the band, like because it's not my thing, but I cannot strip the band away from it, like saying because I don't like the given genre, I cannot appreciate what you're doing. I can appreciate what they are doing, and I do think they are doing it well. And for the people who are exactly for this genre or this combination of genres, I think they're gonna love this album. So it depends from which angle you're coming from. If you're a pure black metal head or death metal dude or dudette, you probably are not going to like it. But if you can understand and like different genres from kind of a pagan metal to more melodic metal, mellow death, and a little bit black metal in the mix and power metal and all that stuff, who knows, you will like it. It's interesting to see how the band actually falls out and if they will get rid of those power metal things in the future, because I was told the main man of the band actually might have a side project coming on later on where those power metal elements might be used. So will Suotana be present without them? I do not know, but it will be interesting to see the kind of evolution for the band. Give it a go. I think it's interesting and definitely worth listening to. And the good news is the album is out today. That is, I'm assuming this video comes out on the very day for the release of the album. So now you know how it looks like on CD or vinyl, and now you roughly know how the music is going to sound. And since it's all available, go for a listen, and I hope you enjoy it. Looking forward to your comments, and see you soon with more reviews coming away. Take care.